What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review the debut project by Rich Gang. Basically this project is called Rich Gang All-Stars, and this mixtape came out in the winter of 2013. So this is also kind of a pseudo 2013 project by Birdman, as far as this pitch is going to happen after he took off a few years after his Priceless album from late 2009. This was the next step that he was working on as far as this pitch is going to went. But basically this Rich Gang was kind of an amalgamation of like a group that kind of was like a super group of like Cash Money label and pitches like that. Just a lot of Cash Money records and a lot of the affiliates as far as this pitch can happen. It's really not as much full bound around nowadays, but it was kind of a pretty big thing in like the early mid 2010s, 2013, 2014, like early 2015. Had some good type fairs about it. Now there is actually like the Rich Gang album came out in 2013, which I reviewed back in the summer of 2024, and then there was like the Rich Gang All Star. There was like the Rich Gang the Tour Part 1, which displayed Young Thug and Rich Homie Quan as far as this pitch can happen, which was a Part 1 of that. There was an unofficially released Part 2, which I'm going to get to down the road, but that really doesn't have as much Birdman affiliation, so I'm kind of caught up for the most part on Birdman projects, minus like the Just Another Gangsta project with Juvenile, but this is pretty good mixtape here within the fair behind it. Now this is not an exclusive Birdman project, but it does have a lot of good songs from like some folks on here, like about this. There's some folks that kind of deliver at least one song at least. Like you get an exclusive Ace Hood song on here, you get an exclusive Lil Wayne song on here, you get an exclusive Mystical song on here, you get a couple Mac Main songs, which are pretty good, some pitches like that. Some of those type fairs, you get an exclusive Bow Wow song for the most part. You get a Bow Wow song on here with Lil Wayne feature as far as those pitches can happen. So there's some good stuff on here. The thing about it is there are 24 songs on this particular mixtape here, but out of those 24, only 10 of them are really new songs that are exclusive to this product. So there's 2 skits out of the 24 songs on here, 2 DJ Khaled skits, narrows it down to 22, and then like I was saying, there's 12 songs that are to be found on other products that kind of popped out throughout 2013. Like some of which are on Tyga's 2013 album, some of which are on Tyga's 2013 album, some of which are on Future's 2013 project, some of which are on like French Montana's 2013 album, some of which are on Gutta Gutta's projects. Just fairs like that, some of which are on Lil Wayne's 2013 album, I'm Not a Human Being too. So it's just the pitch behind saying that 12 of these are just to be found on other projects that are kind of circa around the Cash Money affiliation throughout 2013, early 2014, late 2012 as far as this pitch can have. But I look after the fair, still pretty relatively excellent mixtape here. When I say relatively, I'm not saying like it's going to get like a 7 or 8. It's going to get like over a 9 out of 10. It's just within the pitch that the main drag about this project, it's not really too much of a drag, but just an aspect as far as saying that there's really only 10 new songs in terms of aspect of what's exclusive to this product. So out of 24 songs, 10 out of 24 is just within the pitch that's a little bit mildly kind of gun shy within the pitch that most of these are pretty good. So out of the 10 songs that are new that are exclusive to this project, I wound up recommending 9. So it's a pretty excellent type pitch to kind of get on there. Now I will say that one of those 9 songs I recommend is an almost song. So it's kind of here and there within the pitch behind it. I'm looking after, it's not to say here and there in terms of quality, but just the aspect, 8.5 out of 10 is pretty damn excellent type fare to kind of get within the tone behind it. So it's just some good fare just to be able to say, basically to talk about the 10 original songs, which I'll just go ahead and list these. So Awkward is an original song on here by Lil Wayne. Smoking Weed, Counting Money is an original song on here. 5 in the Morning by Mac Main is an original song on here. Mama Cry by Mystical is an original song on here. Kobe or Ginobili by Mac Main is an original song on here. Chill by Busta Rhymes with a couple extra cats like Reek and Ja Mills and Birdman are the ones that did Smoking Weed, Counting Money, but Busta Rhymes featuring Reek the Villain and J Doe has the song Chill, and that's an exclusive song. Eat the Cake by Bow Wow is an exclusive song. The Streets by Ace Hood is an exclusive song. FBGM by Kasky is an exclusive song, and Champions with Kevin Rudolph, Lil Wayne, and Birdman is an exclusive song. So basically, the only song I don't recommend is just Kasky's FBGM. I'd have to say just within the pitch behind it. Basically, that one just didn't have an up to snuff type production on there. Just kind of felt like an in between type beat that just didn't nail the appeal as full blends to what it necessarily needed to. Just kind of felt like some extra time type song just within the pitch, but it's kind of felt like one of the more plainer songs of this particular product. This was not that noteworthy, just within the pitch behind it. And then to talk about the song Chill, the only other song that's not within a full-blown recommendation is just the song Chill, which is the almost song on here. Basically, Chill is like a throwback kind of late 2000s drummer boy type venue heat to kind of get within the tone behind it. Definitely reminds me of something that Rocco or GZ or Blood Raw, one of those type folks from 2008, early 2009, late 2007 would have kind of done. This is a good song, but it just doesn't have any real big names on there. Busta Rhymes is really on the chorus, doesn't have anyone to really back up this particular song. Just kind of feels more, not so much full-blown pedestrian, but just within the pitch, it is more standard kind of vanilla type fare within the fare behind it. So if you're looking for something a little bit larger to have something more noteworthy, it's not as full-bound, but it is a good song within the pitch. There's just kind of some smoking like the night wind as far as those pitches can happen. Just smoke a couple L's, just like the night breeze pitches like that. Some of that standard type fare just being around. It's kind of being around night venues and like the night haze as far as those pitches can happen. Just in the aspects, some of that just snack runs, getting burritos, Chex Mix, some of that type fare just in the tone behind it. Just good aspects just within the tone. Just good marination, like some ambience within night venues. I'd say good type tone, but just in the pitch, it just is kind of, it's not full blown pedestrian, but it's just kind of relatively somewhat vanilla, just in like a plainer sense. But every other song on here, I recommend this in terms of the new songs. So just to be able to say, like, most of these songs, they're like songs that are to be found on other projects, like Tyga's Switch Lanes, Lil Wayne's Bitches Love Me, Gutta Gutta's Drink and Smoke, Lil Wayne's Rich as Fuck, Future's Karate Chop Remix, you know, Tyga's Dope, Ace Hood's Bugatti, some of these type ones. Drake started from the bottom. All of these are just simple kind of recommended type hits, but you might as well just get them off the albums that they're already on as far as this pitch can happen. So the score I'm going to give this mixtape before I get to the description of this project here, I'm probably going to say 8.5 out of 10 off these pitches, just to be able to say, including the fact that there are 12 other songs to be found elsewhere out of 24, plus the concept of like 2 skits on here. I'd say basically approximately 9 vicious kind of exclusive songs out of 24 on here. I'm probably going to say that this mixtape is either going to get a 9 out of 10 or a 9.25, and I think I'll go ahead and say it'll just get a 9.25 because I do feel like damn near every song off this project is nailed pretty heavily, and I do recommend all the songs that are songs to be found on another project for the most part. I just, as I say, it's just kind of the concept of this, just maybe a song or 2 or 3 shy of like the full bound kind of exclusives that needed to be on here. Maybe it could have been, instead of 10, I mean, within the pitch, just the good concept of all the quality that's on here is definitely pretty vicious to get these songs, but this kind of aspect still feels a little bit maybe mildly light compared to what probably, I mean, there's plenty of songs on here. It's just kind of the concept that you don't get a full bounty of exclusives, so maybe just like 1 or 2 extra more would have probably beefed up the quality, gotten it to like a 9.75, 10. I probably would have said if there would have been 14 songs and it had been like 12 out of 14, it probably would have been like a 10 or something like that, or 12.5 out of 14, something within that fair, but just needed song or 2 or 3, just extra fair. So I'll give this mixtape like a 9.25 out of 10. But yeah, so Awkward's a nice one. This is a Lil Wayne exclusive, pretty good fare for that, but it's just kind of a plainer type one within the pitch. Just kind of relatively, just kind of feel as Awkward just kind of feels like extra thoughts of a song from Lil Wayne. He doesn't typically do songs like this in later eras. It just kind of felt like this was not a song that probably would have made it onto I'm Not a Human Being 2 or like the Carter Foursome and those type fares. Just kind of some extra type thoughts. It's kind of a seldom and secondary type Lil Wayne song to kind of get just in the pitch that he wasn't really doing songs like this even on like Dedication 4, Dedication 5, some of those type pitches within his spare mixtape. So just kind of some extra thoughts type Lil Wayne and some extra type endeavors gonna have. So Awkward's like a dreary kind of quick time spree to kind of say here, just smoke a joint like, and it's kind of a smoke a joint like your abode, pitches like that, this indoor smoke as far as those fares gonna happen. This groggy ass day I would feel like here, just kind of a random type day within the pitch behind it, just extra thoughts dredge kind of have within that tone. Just kind of the concept. Lil Wayne just talking about awkward chicas as far as the song kind of happens, just within the tone behind it, just kind of that extra thought to this kind of questioning just the concept. It just feels kind of, I mean, I don't want to say it feels like a frustrating song full bound, but it is kind of just a scuzzy type one where there's just a lot of slog about it. This the aspect you're just kind of questioning WTF, some of those type pitches just within the tone behind it, and some of that extra, just that kind of extracurricular type fare I'd have to say. But Smoking Weed, Counting Money is a nice one. This has a similar pace to Awkward, but it's just not quite as like lackadaisical, I'd say. It's like some woozy commute, I would feel like here. Just a nice, simple, lavish errand day to kind of get, I would have to say. It's kind of a song to get shit done and like the winds of it as far as those pitches can happen. Just it's kind of a song to get shit done, I'd have to say, within the tone behind it. And this is just kind of one for like the winds of like the pitches. And this particular song is just a song for like the day winds as far as those pitches can happen, just within the aspect behind it. It's kind of like the concept of this breezy type day, just within the aspect. And Smoking Weed, Counting Money is definitely one to just have some of that fare just on the go, kind of sociable, kind of having smokage in your system, just kind of quick times just within the pitch behind it, just not really looking back, just kind of almost blurry but not quite as dreary about it, just kind of the concept of this maybe like a quick Tuesday where you're just realizing that time's passing pretty damn quickly, not so much like Friday, Thursday, weekend type fare where it's just really exhilarating, but just within the pitch of just realizing that it's just some beginning of the week kind of just more fun and fast life type tones within the pitch of just like extra kind of days or more days that are just supposed to be more basic but aren't just in the pitch. It's a good type tone for that. 5 in the Morning's a nice one. I like the song title implies this is pretty much good, excellent type morning fare. This is a Mac main song. It's pretty good pitch to see that he was still kind of around in like the early 2010s because he was around back in the 2000s as far as those pitches going to happen. It's like an extravagant kind of wake up dredge kind of get here, I'd have to say. Just a feeling nice, kind of good breakfast kind of pitch that particular fare as far as those pitches going to happen. Just an up and at 'em kind of grind mode to kind of get within that tone. So this is not this kind of slouch, just kind of after effects, but it's actually kind of the concept of just already being dressed and ready as far as those pitches going to happen. Just the concept of just getting to it, just on your way, maybe hotel type music where you're leaving the hotel at like 6 o'clock in the morning, 5:45 pitches like that, just where the skies are still pink. Some of those type fares, I'd say just the aspect behind it. It's real, just snap to it just in the pitch. I mean, it's not so much like a hustle type song, like I'm out there already, like I'm going to hit the ground running, but it's just kind of within the pitch. You know, just nice breakfast, just within the concept that I'm awake and I'm just not going to sleep in as far as those pitches going to have within the tone. Just a pleasant bustle as far as those pitches going to happen. Another quality Mac main song in here would be Kobe or Ginobili. This is a real nice one here. It's like a Liddy kind of pseudo ratchet kind of early 2010s club burner kind of get within that pitch. This song crackles pretty well and it has nice barbs about it. I definitely have to say just an uncommon kind of hit. This feels like a song that Lil Wayne should have done. Lil Wayne or Gutta Gutta, one of those type folks. It's pretty dope that Mac Main did this particular one, but this definitely feels like one that Lil Wayne probably would have ripped to pieces. Some of that type fair, just real typical type one that feels circa 2012, 2013. Kobe or Ginobili feels like a Lex Luger beat or something that Southside or 808 Mafia, one of those type folks that produced for Waka Flocka back in the early 2010s would have done some of those type fares that I had to say. Good type pitch. Same similar type production with The Streets by Ace Hood. This is some nice ones here. There's like a piercing kind of hop to it, I'd have to say, and just a night flavor. This is like a nice kickstart and it has throwback kind of mixtape drill energy. This particular song has throwback kind of mixtape drill kind of energy and the song slaps pretty hard just in the pitch behind it. So just Ace Hood on his typical type fare. He was another good mixtape cat, just like Meek Mill, Rick Ross, Yo Gotti, some of those type folks. I'm going to have to get to some of his albums as far as those pitches can happen. I know that song Bugatti is a pretty big hit as far as those pitches can happen. That is on this project, but it's going to have to get to some more Ace Hood as far as those pitches can happen there just within the tone. Bow Wow's Eat the Cake song's a pretty nice one as well. It's like a vintage kind of mid-2000s trap or die turn up to kind of get within that pitch with like a mixture of like mixtape drill, I'd have to say here. It's kind of a blend between like 2005 turn up with like 2010, 2011 type turn ups, some good type pitches for that, and it's like a paced and lean kind of splitter, definitely kind of get here. Definitely glad that Lil Wayne was on the song. Bow Wow tears the song apart pretty well. It's just interesting to get him on these particular type fares because he kind of disappeared after like the late 2000s. Good type pitch kind of get him on some of that mixtape type heat, and this is a pretty good bop to kind of get overall within that pitch behind. So just typical type fare, some of that just feels like a mixtape gem. Some of that particular fare as far as those pitches kind of happen, just good typeness. Makes me question if Bow Wow had any mixtapes around that particular time, but it is a pretty nice gem here. Mystical's Mama Cry is a nice one. Now this is some good type fare. Mystical was kind of mildly affiliated or relatively affiliated with Rich Gang in like 2013. It kind of felt like you were almost getting like a miniature kind of Mystical album just because he was on that particular album like 3 or 4 or even 5 times as far as those pitch can happen. So the good type pitch for that. Mama Cry is like a sparkly kind of night venue heat to kind of get here. Just enjoy the demon time kind of ambience. I'd have to say about this one is definitely after hours past like 8:30, 9:30 p.m. is some wicked kind of usual Mystical delivery as far as those pitch can happen. Just if you really miss Mystical after like his Tarantula album, which he continues to this day to not have put out anything since 2001's. Mystical continues to not have put out anything since 2001's Tarantula. This is some good type fare to kind of see what he's been up to in like the past 12 years between 2001 and 2013. And really, these are the only 2 projects I can really think of that he's been on. I mean, you'll catch him on like the occasional guest verse like on Yellowwood's 2011 album, but for the most part, this is about the only recent stuff that Mystical has done since 2001. It's good type fare for that. It's a pretty good song here just within the pitch. It's basically like just getting a Mystical club joint circle like the early 2010s as far as this pitch can happen just within the fare behind it. So some excellent typeness. This is a sparkly type one. This really has that glitz and appeal about it. Probably one of the more flashy ones on here in terms of like a more kind of glitz type pizzazz about it, but just a good nice one for that. So just within the pitch. But yeah, I look after it here. So this mixtape is a 9.25 out of 10. The social score I'll probably give just based upon the appeal of all these hitters on here. I mean, if you do want to like the thing about this particular product is just the fact that most of these songs off this product are Cash Money affiliated. So I actually think the concept of getting some of these songs that are actually on albums is really not that much of a deal because they own the product of it. So it's not within the pitch that you're. I'm surprised that they actually allowed that these songs to actually be on this particular product, but it's just within the fare. I mean, there are some extra type songs like the Richest Fuck song has like a DJ Khaled intro on there from Lil Wayne's I'm Not a Human Being too, so there is like some minor kind of extra stuff on there, but it's not terribly much to really make too much of a difference. It might be like a more rough draft type version for some of these type ones, but for the most part it's just within the pitch. It's just mixtape type format of songs that are on 2013 albums and 2012 albums. But it's just within the pitch that I'd probably say that the social score would be like a 9.75 out of 10, because there's definitely a lot of glitz on here, a lot of mixtape drill, a lot of good pitches like that, some social pizzazz, some good moments on here, some of these type of moments. You know, I actually don't think I talked about every single one on here. I'm trying to think of. I actually don't think I talked about Champions with Limp Bizkit and Kevin Rudolph and Lil Wayne and Birdman. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about this one real quick as well. Champions is like a nice rock rap kind of radio grab, I'd have to say here. This reminds me of definitely of Hollywood. The song definitely reminds me of Hollywood Undead from like the early 2010s. Some of that type of just that very similar kind of rock rap, kind of pop-ish, kind of rock. This reminds definitely of Hollywood Undead with like the Deuce or Danny kind of pop-ish kind of radio grab type hook just within the pitch behind it, something like you would think of like one of their ones off of their, like a song like Young by Hollywood Undead or one of those type pitches that just really has that radio type appeal, just something for pop rock, I'd have to say. And this is like some good club surf, kind of run up a drink tab, kind of dance type music kind of get here. So it's just almost like mild EDM with like a rock rap type tin about it, just in the pitch behind it, just good type fare. It really has the aspects. Interesting that Limp Bizkit was kind of almost mimicking Hollywood Undead around this time. So I would actually have to say, in terms of like the 2010s, Hollywood Undead pretty much actually outstretched Limp Bizkit just because they had more lastability and they just had more. They continue to stack up more hits. Now, Limp Bizkit was definitely huge, went 7, 8, 9, 10 times platinum within the pitch behind it, but Hollywood Undead definitely had a string of hits that lasted between like late 2000s to even the 2020s as far as those pitch kind of happened. So they were kind of the face of rock rap for a good while in like the 2010s. Just some good type fair to see that Limp Bizkit was kind of biting them as far as those pitch kind of have, but it's some excellent type of appeal. This real nice one, kind of get within that tone. This really works for like something like, I think in some senses, if you were to hear this song, you might just think that this was Deuce or Danny, some of those type of folks from Hollywood Undead, just kind of doing a song with like Cash Money or something like that. But it actually is Limp Bizkit here. This is in the pitch behind it, but it's just a nice rock rap kind of grab within the pitch behind it. But yeah, like I was saying within the pitch, this particular album, or this particular mixtape within the fair is very social pizzazz. Has some good sparkers on here just in the pitch, very crackling type projects as far as those fairs going to happen. Just some good glitz, just some good kind of breeze, just some in between type days, some Monday, Tuesday type music, some Friday, Saturday, Thursday type music, some pitches like that. Just some good kind of relative. I mean, it doesn't have as much full bound makeshift, but just is kind of within the pitch that kind of switches between like weekday kind of commerce with weekend type glitz as far as those pitch can have. It's pretty glitzy type products. I'd say 9.75 social in terms of the aspect. The only reason why it's not getting a 10 is just because there's not nearly enough. And I probably think once again that there probably needs to be at least 2 or 3 more exclusives within the pitch behind. I think just the fact that half this product doesn't have those just within the pitch behind. But for the most part, it's pretty appetizing. It's definitely a pretty good tease of a project that just nails the appeal and just leaves you hungry. Not leaves you hungry in a bad way, but just has the right amount. That's almost the right amount of hits on here to be serviceable within the pitch. But it's just the aspect. I mean, it is getting 9.25 and 9.75 social, so it's just within the pitch. So in terms of the future, like Rich Gang has not been around once again since either late 2014 with the Rich Gang the Tour or early 2015 with like Rich Gang the Tour Part 2, which was unofficially released. So I'm going to get to some more of that, but I think Rich Gang the Tour Part 2 would probably be the last true batch, like the Rich Gang kind of aficionado type stuff, just within the fair behind it. Would just would be kind of the concept I look after. This is like a virtual classic. I mean, if it just would have had just a select few more songs, this probably would be a full bound classic. It's definitely better than it is, and within the pitch behind it, it has some vicious quality. You do get some secret songs, even by Lil Wayne, even by folks like Bow Wow and Mystical, some of those type of folks that really does have some good candor about this project. Just a nice treat and appetizer to kind of get here, and just has some goodies just in the pitch behind it. So some good type fare.